Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 75.
So let's set the stage a little. We are in the Tang Dynasty.
Specifically under the rule of Zetian.
It's really heavily based on actual historical records. It's where folklore meets hard history.
And the moment we're digging into today is just a masterclass in moral philosophy, political maneuvering, and, honestly, just sheer human complexity. Now, Zetian. I think most people know her as the only female emperor in Chinese history. But we're not looking at her rise to power here. This is the twilight of her reign.
Exactly. The atmosphere in the source material is heavy. It describes the empress as getting older, but her, quote, lustful heart is actually increasing.
So she's checked out of the day-to-day business of governing.
Pretty much. She surrounded herself with favorites. And specifically, the infamous two Zangs, Changzong and Zhang Yizi.
Okay, so these are the antagonists of our story.
Oh, yeah.
And from the descriptions here, these guys sound like a nightmare for any serious government official.
A total nightmare. They're described as spending all their time gambling, drinking, mocking the ministers. They represent the rot at the very top.
It's not just that they're having fun, though, right? They're gatekeepers.
Exactly. They've turned the inner court into their personal playground, introducing other beautiful young men to distract the empress. And this creates a massive power struggle with the Confucian scholars who are trying to keep the empire running.
Okay, so enter our first protagonist, Wei Yunsong. He is the chancellor.
The chancellor, yeah. And in a court full of people just trying to get ahead, he's the one guy who refuses to play the game.
He's the archetype of the upright official.
That's it. He tells the empress to her face that having these little men, and that's a very specific insult in Confucian thought.
Meaning someone without a moral compass.
Right. He says having them by her side is a disaster. He even says it's his failure as chancellor that they're even there.
Wow. That's incredibly dangerous. You're basically insulting the emperor's favorites to the emperor's face.
It is. And the Zhang brothers, they know he's a threat. Wei Yunsong is the one person standing between them and total control, so they decide they have to remove him.
Which brings us to the political trap. So let's unpack this frame-up. It's not enough to just say they don't like him. They need a crime. So what do they pin on him?
Treason, basically.
The big one.
The biggest.
Right.
Zhang Changzong accuses Wei Yunsong of saying, in private, that the empress is too old and immoral to rule. And, this is the real kicker, that people should start backing the crown prince instead.
Oh, I see why that's lethal.
Yeah.
In a monarchy, saying, get ready for the next guy is, well, it's plotting a coup.
Precisely. Especially with Zetian, who was famously paranoid about people trying to usurp her. But the Zangs have a problem.
It's their word against his.
Right. And the chancellor has this stellar reputation for honesty, so they need a witness. They need someone credible to corroborate the lie.
And this is where the drama really kicks in. They find a man named Zhang Yu. The text says he's a Phoenix cabinet drafter. What does that actually mean?
Think of it like a mid-level bureaucrat, maybe a presidential speechwriter or a policy drafter.
Okay, so he's close enough to power to be credible,
But low-ranking enough to be vulnerable. He is the perfect pawn.
So the Zhang brothers approach him. And the source is very blunt about their tactics. It's a classic carrot and stick.
Yeah, they offer him much gold and a promise of a high-ranking government position if he testifies. But the implied threat is, it's pretty obvious. Do this, or we destroy you too.
And this is where I think the story gets so human. Because Zhang Yu, he isn't an instant hero. He doesn't stand up and give some big speech about justice.
No, not at all. He caves. The text says he's terrified. He's thinking, if I refuse now, I'm dead before I even leave this room.
So he just says yes to get out of there.
Just to extricate himself from the situation. He's thinking he'll figure it all out later.
That is such a relatable panic response.
Yeah.
Just agree to make the scary people go away. But of course, now the clock is ticking. The next morning, court convenes.
And the tension is just sky high. You've got the empress, the Zhang brothers, the accused chancellor, Wei Yunsong, and here comes Zhang Yu walking toward the hall to deliver the testimony that's going to kill a man.
But he gets intercepted.
Yeah.
It's very cinematic, actually. Before he can enter the throne room, two senior officials, Song Jing and Lu Ziji, they stop him.
And Song Jing is the minister of personnel. He's a heavyweight. He knows exactly what Zhang Yu is about to do, and he doesn't threaten him. He gives him like a philosophical intervention.
I have the quote here, and it's just so powerful. He says, "Name and righteousness are weighty. Ghosts and gods are hard to deceive."
Ghosts and gods are hard to deceive. I mean, That is a heavy concept in this context. He's telling Zhang Yu, you might fool the empress, you might fool the court, but you cannot fool the moral universe.
He's appealing to his legacy.
Yes, and he also gets practical. He says, look, if you suffer for the truth, it will be a glorious exile, and we will fight for you. Your name will be admired for 10,000 generations.
So he's reframing the whole cost-benefit analysis.
Exactly. The Zhang brothers offered gold. That's a short-term gain. Songjing is offering historical immortality, long-term reputation.
And he warns him that if he lies, he leaves a stain on his family name that will last forever. So Zhang Yu walks into the court with these two voices just screaming in his head, save your skin versus save your soul.
The Empress questions him. Did the Chancellor say these treasonous things? And at first, Zhang Yu is just silent. He freezes.
The pressure must have been unbearable.
Oh, you can imagine. And then Shangzong, the villain, gets impatient. He starts prodding Zhang Yu like, come on, speak up. And that push, that arrogance, that's what snaps Zhang Yu out of it.
He flips the script.
He does. He looks at the Empress and says, I never heard Wei Yuanzong say those things. Shangzong forced me to give false testimony.
Whoa, so he didn't just refuse to lie, he exposed the entire plot right to her face.
It's basically a suicide mission, and the Empress is furious. Remember, she favors the Zhang brothers. She calls Zhang Yu a treacherous little man for changing his story.
So does the truth set him free?
Absolutely not. No, this is a tragedy, at least in the immediate sense. The Empress exiles everyone. Wei Yunzong is banished to Gaoyao. Zhang Yu is banished to Lingbiao.
Which was what, a malaria-infested backwater?
Pretty much, yeah. A terrible place to be sent.
So the bad guys won. The honest men are gone from the court.
They cleared the board, yes. But in terms of name and righteousness, Zhang Yu secured his legacy. He lost his job, but he kept his integrity.
Okay, so Zhang Yu is packing his bags for exile. He has effectively ruined his career to save his conscience. And this is where the episode takes that hard left turn into what feels like a completely different story.
It really does pivot, but the thematic connection is just brilliant. It's all about choices and betrayal.
So Zhang Yu is about to leave for this awful remote place, but he's got a domestic crisis brewing at home. Introduce us to Xinghua.
Xinghua, or a wake flower. She is Zhang Yu's beloved concubine. The source gives us this lovely detail about her name. Her mother dreamt of a sea apple flower and was told, famous flowers should be awake, not sleeping.
Hence, awake flower.
And she's 17, beautiful, and really smart. She manages all of Zhang Yu's private affairs.
And living in Zhang Yu's house at the time is a young scholar named Jia Quansu.
Right. He's talented, he's the son of a high official, but he's there working as a scribe, handling correspondence.
And apparently, Jia has, and I'm quoting the source here, lust as big as the sky.
A very poetic way of saying he's young and full of hormones, yeah.
So one day, he bumps into Xinghua in the garden. He's bold, he bows to her, apologizes for not avoiding her, but he's clearly checking her out.
And Xinghua's reaction is fascinating. She doesn't scream, she doesn't run away, she just analyzes the situation like a stock trader looking at a crashing market.
I love that. She's so pragmatic.
Exactly. This is where we see her intelligence, or maybe her ruthlessness. She thinks, my master, Zhang Yu, is in trouble. He's going into exile. I will have no future with him.
Then she looks at this young scholar, Jia, and thinks,
he looks promising. He's quiet, handsome, from a good family.
She's engaging in her own version of political survival. It's just like Zhang Yu had to choose between the Zhang brothers and the truth. She's choosing between a sinking ship and a rising star.
It's a perfect mirror of the court conflict, loyalty versus survival, except where Zhang Yu chose loyalty.
Xinghua chooses survival.
So a few days later, Zhang Yu is dealing with his exile orders. And what are Xinghua and Jia doing?
They're plotting their escape.
They are. Xinghua sends her maid to set up a meeting. They meet at night. Jia is thrilled. He calls it a miracle from heaven.
And Xinghua brings up a famous historical precedent to justify what they're about to do. She compares them to Li Jing and Hong Fu.
Right, which is a famous legend where a beautiful woman recognizes a hero in waiting and runs away with him. She's framing their affair as this grand romantic destiny.
That's almost manipulative, isn't it? She's romanticizing betrayal.
It's a justification strategy. She can't just admit she's abandoning her master, so she casts herself as the heroine of a romance. And of course, Jia says yes.
So they drink wine, and then right before Zhang Yu is set to leave for his miserable exile,
his favorite concubine and his trusted scribe run off into the night together.
Wow. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. He has just sacrificed everything for righteousness, and his reward is betrayal from the people closest to him.
It's brutal. But Zhang Yu isn't one to just let things go. He finds out. He sends men to capture them. And because they didn't have a great escape plan, well,
He catches them.
he catches them.
Okay, so now we reach the climax of the second half.
Yeah.
Zhang Yu is furious. He fully intends to kill Jia Quanzu. And we should probably clarify, in this era, a high official killing a subordinate for this, that would be considered.
Oh, completely within his rights, 100%. No court would convict him.
So Jia Quanzu is facing certain death, but instead of begging and crying, he pulls a Zhang Yu. He uses his words. He launches into this incredible defense speech.
It's a masterclass in rhetoric. He starts with a very bold opening. He doesn't apologize for the love affair. He basically says, look, lust is human nature. I couldn't help myself.
Which is a risky move. I'm just a guy, being a guy.
It is, but then he pivots to the real argument. He attacks Zhang Yu's ego and his reputation. He says, you are a man of great reputation and high rank. You're going into exile now, sure, but you will be back. Do you really want to be known as the man who killed a talented scholar over a woman?
He's using the exact same logic that Song Jing used on him. He's appealing to his name.
Exactly. He asks, do you want to be a hero or a petty man? He even cites historical examples, like King Zhuang of Chu, who forgave a courtier for flirting with his concubine in the dark.
He's trapping Zhang Yu with his own values.
The logic is, if you kill me, you prove you're small-minded and emotional. But if you let me go, you prove you're a great man worthy of history.
And it works. The source says Zhang Yu goes from anger to joy. He's, quote, impressed by the audacity and logic.
And this is the part that just blew my mind. He doesn't just let them go.
He gives Xinghua to Jia Guangsu. He even gives them a dowry.
It's a profound moment of grace. He realizes that holding on to Xinghua is pointless. She's already betrayed him in her heart. But showing mercy, that builds his reputation as a magnanimous leader. He chooses to be the bigger person in the most extreme way possible.
So this leads me to wonder. We have these two separate stories. In the morning, Zhang Yu refuses to lie and gets exiled. In the evening, he forgives a betrayal and gives away his love. How do they connect?
They connect through the eyes of the Empress, and this is the part that validates the whole long game theory. Empress Wu eventually hears about how Zhang Yu handled the affair, the awake flower incident.
And she liked it.
She loved it. She decided that someone who could handle human relations with that much grace, who could prioritize talent over personal jealousy, that person was incredibly valuable.
So the very thing that happened because of his exile, the betrayal, became the reason for his restoration.
Precisely. Despite the earlier conflict, the Empress eventually restores his position. But the real payoff is who she appoints him to teach. She makes Zhang Yu the tutor to her grandson, Li Longji.
And for those who aren't deep into Tang Dynasty lineage,
Li Longji becomes Emperor Xuanzong. He is considered one of the greatest emperors of the Tang Dynasty, the Restoration Lord, who brought the dynasty to its cultural and political peak.
So Zhang Yu's act of mercy secured his place as the mentor to the future Golden Age emperor.
Yes. The source notes that while Empress Wu was still distracted by her corrupt favorites, setting the stage for future chaos, Zhang Yu had secured his path into the future. His name and righteousness paid off. Big time.
Okay, let's shift scenes.
I have a question for you. What is the absolute strangest thing you have ever seen someone bet on?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe better yet, what is the most ridiculous, just over-the-top item you've ever seen someone want, just because they had to be the only person in the world to have it?
Are we talking about, like, billionaires buying social media platforms just to win an argument? Or is this more like collectors fighting over some limited edition sneakers?
I am talking about I will desecrate a religious temple just to win a scavenger hunt levels of petty.
This is a fantastic choice. For anyone who might not know, The Romance of Sui and Tang is this massive historical novel. It takes the actual recorded history of the Tang Dynasty, which was already dramatic enough, believe me, and it blends it with folklore, with court gossip, and with legend. It's basically the behind-the-scenes director's cut of one of China's most powerful eras.
And the vibe we're looking at today is intense. We have two distinct stories from this chapter that seem totally different on the surface, but they're actually connected by a very specific thread. One story involves a bizarre competition over a dead poet's beard.
Which is a phrase I never thought we would be analyzing.
And the other involves a high-stakes board game played for a coat made of bird feathers.
They sound like fairy tales, but really they're profound commentaries on value. We're going to be looking at the clash between the price of an object, its rarity, its luxury, and the moral value of the person holding it.
The absurdity of imperial privilege versus actual integrity. And to do that, let's set the scene. We are in the Tang court. It's peak luxury, peak power, and apparently peak boredom.
That is the key ingredient here, boredom. You have to imagine an atmosphere where the royals have absolutely everything. There's no struggle for survival, no material want.
So the only way to feel alive is to invent drama.
Exactly, to create artificial conflicts or to desire things that, frankly, shouldn't exist.
Which brings us to our first story, the beard heist. So we've got two princesses, Princess Taiping and Princess Anil. It's February. They're stuck in the palace looking for something to do.
Right, and they stumble upon a painting on the wall. It depicts court ladies playing a game called Do by Cow.
Which translates to...
Fighting with grass or fighting with herbs.
Okay, you have to explain this. Fighting with grass. I'm picturing people whipping dandelion stems at each other, but I'm guessing the Tang court was a bit more sophisticated than that.
A little bit, yes. It was actually a very popular spring festival tradition. The concept was a sort of botanical arms race.
A botanical arms race. I like that.
You'd go out into the garden, find the most unique or robust or strange plant you could, and then compare it with your opponents. You'd argue, my stem is longer, or my flower has a rarer color.
My herb has a more potent fragrance.
Exactly. Whoever had the superior specimen won the round.
So it's a flex. It's basically, my nature is better than your nature.
Precisely. It's a way to show off your taste, your luck. But here's the problem for our princesses. They see this painting in February.
And February is not exactly prime gardening season.
Not at all. It's too early. The grass hasn't fully grown. The flowers aren't in bloom. A normal person would say, let's play a different game. Or, let's wait until April.
But these are Tang princesses. They don't wait for seasons.
They expect reality to adjust to them.
Yeah.
So they decide that in March, which is still quite early, they are going to hold their own Fighting with Grass contest at the Pavilion of Greenery.
And Princess Anil specifically is determined to win. She doesn't just want to play, she wants to crush the competition.
Right. So she needs a strategy, and this is where she brings in a ringer. She goes to
Shangwan-Waner.
a fascinating figure. In history, she's a heavyweight, a poet, a politician, basically the Empress's private secretary. But in this story, she's the strategist.
And she tells Anil the hard truth.
She does. She says, look, if you just send servants to pick grass in March, Princess Taiping is going to do the same thing. You're both looking at the same garden. It's a coin flip.
To guarantee a win, you need something outside the box.
You need to change the rules of the game. So Shangwan-Waner comes up with this twisted but brilliant piece of logic. She tells Anil, grass is the hair of the earth. Hair is the grass of the human body.
That sounds like something a lawyer would say right before they get thrown out of court. Your Honor, technically hair is grass.
It is poetic gymnastics, certainly.
Uh-huh.
But in the context of the game, she argues that if Anil can present a specific legendary human beard, she effectively has the ultimate grass. No plant Taiping finds can compete with a relic like that.
It's clever, I'll give her that. But she doesn't tell Anil to just grab any guy off the street and shave him. She has a specific target in mind.
Oh yes, she points them toward the beard of Xilingyan.
Okay, we need the dossier on this guy. Who is Xilingyan and why is his beard a collectible item?
So Xilingyan was a massively famous landscape poet from the Jin dynasty. So we're talking centuries before this story takes place. He was known for two things: his incredible verses about mountains and rivers, and his magnificent, beautiful beard.
So is his trademark look.
He was incredibly vain about it. The history books say that before he was executed, he got caught up in a rebellion. He cut the beard off himself.
What?
He couldn't bear the thought of it being destroyed or, rotting in the ground with his body.
That is serious dedication to grooming. So what did he do with it?
He donated it to the Zetian temple in Nanhai. His dying wish was for it to be glued onto the statue of Vimalakirti.
Vimalakirti, that's a Buddhist figure, right?
Yes, and a very specific one. Vimalakirti was a lay sage, someone who achieved enlightenment, but lived as a wealthy householder, not a monk. So unlike monks who shave their heads, he's depicted with hair and a beard.
So for hundreds of years, this statue in the temple was wearing the actual preserved beard of this famous dead poet.
That's it. Which creates this heavy dual significance. It's a literary relic because it belonged to the poet, but it's now also a religious relic because it's part of a holy statue.
It's not something you touch.
It commands respect on every level.
And Princess Anne says, I want that for my show and tell.
It just shows the scale of her arrogance.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about the poetry. She doesn't care about the religion. She just wants to win the game. So she sends a messenger, a man named Lin Mao, all the way to Nanhai. And the instructions are bizarre. She tells him to cut off half the beard.
Why only half?
I guess she wanted to leave something behind so it wasn't total destruction. Or maybe she just needed enough to win. But then, as Lin Mao is traveling, Annel starts overthinking. She gets paranoid.
Of course she does.
She thinks, wait, if I only take half, Princess Taiping might find out, send her own guy, and get the other half. Then we'd tie.
So it's not enough to win. She has to ensure a monopoly on the beard market.
Right. Greed kicks in. So she sends a second messenger, Yang Chenjing, to chase down the first one and say, change your plans, take the whole thing, leave nothing.
This is a heist. It's a slow-motion royal beard heist.
It is. And at first, it works. Lin Mao arrives, cuts the beard, brings it back. Fast forward to the day of the contest. Princess Taiping shows up. He's brought orchids, rare herbs. She thinks she has this in the pack.
And Anne plays along for a bit.
They compare the plants, and it's basically a draw. Taiping is happy with that. Then Annel drops the hammer. She says, I have the grass of a human, a unique relic. And she signals for the brocade box.
And the source text is really specific about how it looked. It says it was glossy and lifelike.
Which is actually quite creepy considering it's centuries old.
Mm-hmm.
But it emphasizes that this thing had a presence. It wasn't just hair, it was an artifact.
So Anne puts it on the table. She's gloating. She's won. But then the whole genre of the story shifts. We go from court drama to supernatural horror.
Immediately. As they're all admiring this stolen object, a sudden, fragrant wind swirls through the pavilion. It isn't a storm, it's targeted. It picks the beard right up off the table and carries it into the sky.
It just floats away.
It just drifts up. Now, Lin Mao, the messenger who cut it, he tries to be the hero. He sees his mistress's prize flying away, so he jumps to grab it.
And this is where the slapstick meets the tragic.
He misses completely, trips over the stone steps, and snaps his right arm.
Ouch.
So now the beard is gone, the servant is screaming in pain, and the whole mood is ruined. Even Princess Taiping, who just lost the contest, realizes what's happening. She says, this is a bad omen. The Buddha is unhappy.
And Shang Guanwaner, who came up with the idea, is suddenly terrified.
But Anselo's in denial. She is so stubborn, she's like, well, the wind took it, but I brought it here, so technically I still win.
She's clinging to the technicality.
But then the second messenger, Yang Chenjing, shows up. Remember, he was sent to get the rest of the beard.
Let me guess, he doesn't have it either.
Well, he has it in a bag. But he walks in with his arm in a sling. He broke his arm on the journey back.
2 messengers, 2 broken arms. That is not a coincidence. That's a pattern.
And as soon as he opens the bag to show the second half of the beard, the wind comes back.
Oh, no.
It takes the rest of the beard into the sky to rejoin the first half. But this time, the wind turns violent. It sweeps through the garden and strips every single flower off the trees.
Wow. The game was fighting with grass. And the wind basically said, game over. No more grass for anyone.
It scorched the earth. The text says the garden was left completely bare. And the princesses are finally terrified enough to realize they messed up. They end up donating 1,000 gold to the temple to repair the statue.
Could try to buy their way out of the karma.
It's the only way they know how to solve problems.
Yeah.
But looking at this, what is the author telling us here? It's a boundary. It's saying that the imperial family, they believe they own the world, the land, the people, the plants. But when they tried to claim ownership over something spiritual and historical, the world fought back.
It's a check on their ego. You can bully the court, but you can't bully the Buddha.
Precisely. And that leads us perfectly into the second story. Because while the princesses were slapped down by supernatural forces, our next protagonist deals with a much more dangerous beast, court politics.
Okay, let's set this up. We're leaving the princesses, moving to the high court. We need to introduce the players here because the dynamic is everything. On one side, we have the bad guys, the Zheng brothers, Zhang Yi and Zhang Chengzong.
Favorites is the polite historical term. In reality, they were the Empress Wu Zetian's lovers. They were these beautiful young men who held immense power, not because they were smart and definitely not because they were capable, but because the Empress adored them.
They were untouchable.
Completely. And on the other side, we have the ultimate good guy, Birenji.
The legendary Judge Di.
That's him. If you know anything about Chinese history or, mystery novels, you know this name. He represents the old guard Confucian values, competence, meritocracy. He's the guy actually keeping the empire running while the Zhang brothers are partying.
So the setup here revolves around a coat. And not just any coat. The gathering kingfisher fur coat. The Jikuikyu.
And we need to pause on this object, because it is equal parts beautiful and horrifying. To make this coat, you need the tiny, iridescent blue-green feathers from the kingfisher bird.
And these are small birds.
Tiny. You would need hundreds, maybe thousands of birds to make a single coat. It shimmers like a jewel. It changes color in the light. It's undeniably beautiful, but it represents this incredible cruelty and excess.
And the empress gave this coat to her favorite, Zhang Krengzong.
She did. So when he wears it, he's literally wearing his status. He's walking around shimmering, basically saying, I am the most precious thing in this room.
It's a vanity piece.
Exactly. Now, Empress Wu knows that Direnji hates these guys. She wants to force a truce, so she invites Direnji to play Go with Zhang Chengzong.
A forced play date.
Basically. And to make it interesting, she orders them to place a bet. Zhang Chengzong is feeling arrogant. He's wearing the coat. He's the Empress's boy, so he bets the kingfisher coat.
That's a massive bet. That coat is worth a fortune. 1,000 gold, easy. So Direnji has to match it. What does he put up?
This is where the trap snaps shut. Direnji points to his own body. He says, I bet my purple court robe.
Wait, just his work uniform? The standard issue robe?
Yes. And the Empress immediately calls him on it. She laughs and says, hold on. That coat is a priceless treasure. Your robe is. Well, it's just a government uniform. The value isn't equal.
She's thinking in terms of market price.
She's looking at the commodities, right? But Direnji flips the script. This is one of the best rhetorical takedowns in the book. He looks at the Empress and says, effectively, Your Majesty, you are mistaken about the value.
That takes guts. You do not tell Empress Wu she's wrong.
He argues, my purple robe is the uniform of a minister. It represents my service to the state, my proximity to the monarch, and my authority to govern. It represents merit.
And the coat.
He dismisses it entirely. He calls it the clothing of a favored pet. He implies that it represents nothing but nepotism and sycophancy. So he concludes, because my robe represents the dignity of the state, it is vastly more valuable than a bird feather jacket.
Wow. He's standing right in front of the guy, and the woman who gave him the coat, and he basically calls him a glorified lapdog.
It's savage.
Yeah.
And the most telling part, the Empress doesn't punish him. She laughs. She accepts the logic. She knows he's right.
So Chengzong is just sitting there, humiliated, and he can't even argue back, because if he denies it, he's arguing against the dignity of the state.
He's checkmated before the game even starts. So they play. And Direnji insists on playing white.
Why white?
In Go, black usually moves first, but Direnji says, I am pure of heart, so I will play the white stones. That's another jab at Chengzong's corruption.
And I assume Direnji is good at Go.
He destroys him. The text says Chengzong gets flustered, makes mistakes, and Direnji just wipes the floor with him.
So, game over. Direnji has won the kingfisher coat. Now, if I'm Direnji, maybe I sell it, maybe I burn it. But he does something much colder.
This is the ultimate power move. He takes the coat, he puts it on for exactly 1 moment to bow and thank the Empress, because he follows protocol perfectly. Then he walks out of the palace.
And then?
As soon as he gets to the gate, he takes it off. He calls over his house, slaves someone at the very, very bottom of the social hierarchy, and he tosses the coat to him. He says, here, you wear this.
No way!
Think about what that does to the value of the coat. 5 minutes ago, it was the most exclusive item in the empire, worn by the Empress's lover. Now
it's a hand-me-down for a servant. He didn't just win the coat. He destroyed its meaning. He turned it into livery for a slave.
Exactly. He visually demonstrated that in his household, this priceless treasure is worth less than the dirt under his feet. It effectively lowers Zhang Chengzong to the level of a servant.
And the Empress hears about this.
She does.
And she does nothing.
Nothing.
This is the part I find hardest to wrap my head around. Empress Wu was known for being ruthless. She executed people for sneezing wrong. Why does Direnji survive this blatant disrespect of her favorite?
Well, this connects to the core paradox of Wu Zetian's reign. She was a usurper. She had enemies everywhere. To survive, she needed a government that worked. She needed competence. The Zhang brothers were fun, they were pretty, but they were useless at running a country.
But Direnji was the engine of the empire.
That's it. So she swallows her pride because she needs him. She realized that true competence is the one thing even absolute power cannot afford to destroy. She could replace a lover in 5 minutes. She couldn't replace Direnji.
That is a fascinating dynamic. You have the bad guys who everyone fears, but they are terrified of the one guy who isn't afraid to tell the truth.
And the source mentions that after Direnji died, another official named Song Jing carried this torch. The corrupt officials were just as afraid of him. It shows that even in a court rotting with corruption, moral authority still carried actual physical weight. Meanwhile,
Imagine a scenario where the fate of an entire empire is just, hanging by a thread. We're talking life and death here.
a huge political coup is about to launch in just a few hours.
Right. You've got assassins gathering their weapons. You have troops mobilizing in the shadows to overthrow the most powerful woman in Chinese history, Empress Wu Zetian.
The whole goal is to restore the Tang dynasty, so the stakes couldn't be higher.
So where is the man who's supposed to be leading this charge? The emperor-to-be.
Well, based on the text we're looking at today, he is not in a war room. He's not putting on armor or, giving some big fiery speech.
Yeah.
He's sitting at a table playing a board game. And he's playing it with the very man he should probably be arresting.
It sounds like a scene from a movie that's trying way too hard to be ironic, but no, this is the actual setup we're diving into.
It is.
We know the Tang dynasty was restored, but the how? That's where it gets messy.
Precisely. History gives you the headlines, right? Xinlong coup succeeds, Tang dynasty restored. But a text like this gives you the texture. It focuses on these bizarre, tense, and deeply human moments that define the whole thing.
We're talking about a secret meeting during a hunt, a prophetic game of dice that is just completely surreal, and a fatal act of mercy that, frankly, dooms the heroes of the story.
It's a masterclass in winning the battle but losing the war. And it all boils down to personal feelings getting in the way of political necessity.
So let's get into the weeds. We have to set the stage because the context here is everything. It opens with this hunting trip.
In the southern mountains, yeah. You have Emperor Zongzong, though he's not quite emperor yet. He's the crown prince, and he's with 5 key officials. The leader is a man named Zhang Jianzi.
And this hunt is not really a hunt, is it?
No, not at all. In these kinds of stories, and honestly in real politics, a hunt is often a cover. They need to get Zongzong alone, somewhere secluded where the palace spies can't listen in.
Because they have to give him an ultimatum.
They do. The situation is getting bad, fast. Empress Wu Zetian is 80 years old. She's brilliant, but she's ill. And the court is basically run by her 2 favorites, the 2 Zangs.
Sung Yizi and Zheng Chengzong.
And these guys are more than just advisors, they're gatekeepers. The officials are terrified that when Wu Zetian dies, she might just hand the throne to one of them, or they'll just take it.
Which would be the end of the Tang dynasty.
Forever. So the clock is ticking, they corner Zongzong in the mountains, and they tell him, look, we have to act now.
And their one condition is?
The 2 Zangs must die.
Non-negotiable.
But this is where you see the first real crack in Zongzong's character.
Yeah.
And it's so important for what happens later.
He agrees, but he hesitates.
He agrees the 2 Zangs were a problem, but then he immediately starts carving out exceptions. He brings up the wider Wu family and specifically his cousin, Wu Sanxi.
He says something like, the 2 Zangs can be dealt with, but the Wu family are my relatives, let's spare them. He's trying to negotiate a bloody revolution.
It's a huge miscalculation. He's thinking like a family member, not an emperor. And Zhang Jianzi, the coup leader, gives him this chilling reply. He says, once the sharp blades are unsheathed, they cannot be controlled.
Whoa, that's heavy. Basically, we can't guarantee who gets cut once the fighting starts.
He's warning him, you cannot micromanage a coup. It's a fire, not a scalpel. Zongzong just tries to smooth it over by promising them all kingships if they succeed, but that issue of the Wu family, he just leaves it dangling.
And that dangling thread is about to become a noose. So the hunt ends, they have this shaky deal, and Zongzong goes back to the palace.
And this is my favorite part of the whole text, just the sheer psychological tension. He walks into his chambers, knowing this coup is supposed to happen tonight. And who does he find?
His wife, Empress Wei.
And she's with that very cousin he was just trying to protect, Wu Sanxi.
The guy who is arguably the biggest political threat to him. And the text really implies that he and Empress Wei are more than friends.
Oh, it's not subtle at all. They're lovers. And the dynamic is amazing. Wu Sanxi is actually terrified. He can feel something's wrong in the capital. But Empress Wei, she's cool as ice.
She's in control.
Totally. She tells him, don't be afraid. Let's play a game of double six. Just act natural.
What exactly is double six? Is it like backgammon or something?
A similar idea, yeah. Dice and moving pieces. But the point is the pretense. She knows her husband so well. She says, If he sees us playing, he won't suspect a thing.
And she's right. Zong walks in, sees his wife and her lover playing a board game, and instead of exploding, he joins in.
He laughs. He says, "You two look comfortable," and sits down. It's the ultimate poker face, but it's also just incredibly reckless. He's passing the time with the targets of the coup until the soldiers show up.
It gets even weirder. They start drinking, and Zong decides to roll dice to predict the future.
Right? And he invites Shangguan Waner to join. She's a high-ranking consort, basically the Empress's secretary. Very, very smart.
So now you have the emperor-to-be, his wife, his mistress secretary, and the villain all rolling dice together.
It's an unbelievable scene. And of course, the dice rolls aren't random. Zong rolls first. He gets an ace, a 1.
Which you'd think is bad, but they celebrate it.
They do. In this context, Wu Sanxi, who is just trying to flatter him, he quotes this phrase, "Yi Yuan Fushi." It means one epoch returns to the beginning.
A symbol of renewal.
A symbol of the Tang dynasty being restored. The irony is just dripping. The villain is congratulating the hero on a dice roll that predicts his own downfall.
He's literally cheering for the event that should get him executed.
And while they're all laughing and drinking, the text gives us this little detail. Zong keeps checking the time. He's getting nervous. He's thinking, where are they? Did the coup fail?
He's hedging his bets. He's thinking if it fails, he needs to look innocent.
He's playing both sides. And then the chaos starts. Shangguan Waner hears the troops outside. She shouts, "Something is wrong." And at this moment, the pretense is over.
This is it. The fatal mistake we talked about. He reveals the plot to Wu Sanxi.
But he doesn't arrest him.
No.
He hides him. He shoves Wu Sanxi into a back cabinet in the pavilion to save his life.
A cabinet. The future emperor of China hides the biggest threat to his reign in a closet while his allies are outside fighting and dying for him.
It's a complete betrayal of the mission. Outside, Zhang Jianzi and his men are brutally efficient. They kill the two Zhangs immediately. They confront Empress Wu, force her to give up the imperial seal. Militarily, the coup is a total success.
Right. Objective achieved. The Tang dynasty is restored. Zong is emperor. Empress Wei is reinstated. The 5 conspirators are all made kings. On paper, it's a perfect victory.
On paper. But the text immediately shows us the rot setting in. The 5 new kings, they know the job isn't done. They go to the emperor and say, "We have to execute Wu Sanxi."
Because leaving a rival power center alive is just political suicide.
Of course. But Zhang refuses. He strips Wu Sanxi of his title of king, but he keeps him alive as a high-ranking minister, a Sikong. He says he promised to protect the Wu family.
And one of the conspirators, Xu Zicheng, he sees this and gives this incredible warning.
Oh, it's so prophetic. He tells the 5 kings, "If you don't cut the grass by the roots, it will grow back."
Chilling.
And then he says it bluntly, "Because Sanxi is still alive, we're all going to die without a burial place." He sees exactly what's going to happen.
The bad guys are still inside the palace, whispering in the emperor's ear.
And the heroes, the 5 kings, are now outsiders. They have the titles, but they don't have the access. And it doesn't take long for that grass to grow back.
So how does the counterstrike happen?
It's orchestrated by Wu Zetian herself, from her deathbed.
No way. She's lost her throne, she's locked away, but she's still pulling the strings.
She's a political genius to the very end. Wu Sanxi visits her, crying about his lost status. And Wu Zetian, sick and depressed, gives him the strategy. She tells him, "Use your affair with Empress Wei. Use her to destroy the 5 kings."
She weaponizes the affair. Unbelievable.
It's ruthless pragmatism. She knows the only way for the Wu family to survive is to align with the new empress against the Tang loyalists. So Wu Sanxi forms an alliance with a group of corrupt officials the text calls the 5 Dogs.
The 5 Dogs! Very descriptive.
And together with Empress Wei, they launch this smear campaign.
But how do you smear 5 national heroes?
You don't attack their record. You attack the emperor's ego. They put up posters and spread rumors claiming the empress is being insulted, and they blame it on the 5 kings.
They frame them.
They tell Zong, "These men are arrogant. They think they put you on the throne. They don't respect you." And Zong, who is deeply insecure, he believes it.
Of course he does. It plays right into his fears.
So he exiles them, sends them all far away from the capital.
But exile isn't enough for Wu Sanxi.
Not a chance. Remember the prophecy. Cut the grass by the roots. Wu Sanxi sends assassins. The 5 kings are murdered on their journey into exile. The heroes are wiped out.
So tragic. The men who saved the dynasty are killed by the man the emperor saved.
And that brings us to the new status quo. With them gone, Wu Sanxi takes over the government. Zong becomes a complete puppet. He can't do anything without asking Sanxi for permission.
The restoration is a total sham.
It is. But there's one final twist. Empress Wei. She's been watching all of this. She sees how weak her husband is. She remembers how powerful Wu Zetian was. And she decides she doesn't want to just be the empress.
He wants the big chair.
She tells Wu Sanzi, I want to be like your aunt. I want to be the emperor myself.
So we end up right back where we started. A strong woman plotting to take the throne from a weak emperor propped up by the Wu family.
The cycle just repeats. The coup succeeded in name only. It failed because the emperor was too weak to make the hard choices. He valued personal comfort playing dice, keeping his cousin safe over political stability.
It's really a story about the cost of indecision. The failure wasn't on the battlefield. It was in that moment with that cabinet.
Absolutely. Zhongzong's mercy towards one man led directly to the death of his 5 most loyal supporters and, eventually, the complete destabilization of his own reign.